Lily Madwhip, Must Die, Chapter 24, The Path to Samael. Can I just say, aside from almost dying to a murder ball and an immortal psycho man blob, the Vale has been kinda, I don't know, boring? I look around at the clean white walls of the subway tunnel we're walking in. Pashkar put me down about 5 minutes ago because my feet started to fall asleep. I was afraid that if they fell totally asleep, that maybe they'd turn back into dirt or something. I don't know how being made out of living dirt works. Getting life blown into me didn't come with an intro course. Living Dirt 101. First lesson: if your parts fall asleep, they fall off. Duma snorts. He's a few steps behind us, shuffling along. Things have been reorganized since you last visited the back area. His armor jingles as he walks. I imagine Santa Claus jingles the same way. Then I imagine Santa Claus in a suit of armor. What would he fight? Probably that anti-Santa thing. The Grinch? The Grinch would definitely fight dirty. He'd probably throw snow in Santa's face to try to blind him. Little would he realize that Santa is powered by snow. It's his lifeblood. The Grinch would think he was blinding Santa, but he was actually strengthening him, the same way Bluto does when he throws a can of spinach at Popeye. Stupid Grinch, I muttered to myself, consciously aware that I'm doing it, not accidentally doing it like sometimes. Pashkar nods solemnly, not as clever as he thought he was. He glances at a silver doorway that slides up out of the wall. As we pass, he starts to look away, then gives it another consideration. We stop. It's the fifth door to pop up from the floor as we've walked down this hallway, and I'm starting to detect a theme. We must be in another necklace, as Duma called it, connecting to different zones of the Vale, like a cross between a dozen intersections and an office building lobby with elevators to all the other floors. I reach Durga's trident behind me and scratch an itchy spot on my back. If I were Baradiel, where would I take me to protect myself? Peshkar hums. He doesn't actually hum like a song. He goes, like a thinking sound. I don't know why people make thinking sounds. I do it too. But I can't tell you why. It doesn't help me think at all. No brilliant idea was ever hatched by humming that wouldn't have come about anyway, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Duma clears his throat. I think you're looking at it the wrong way, he tells me. The trident came to you because you couldn't hold it. So either Baradiel betrayed us or something happened to him. Either way, I don't think they made it someplace safe. Ahead of us, another silver doorway slides up out of the floor with a ringing bell sound. Peshar throws an armored arm across my path. We both freeze in place. I'm about to ask why we stopped when I realize that this is the first door to appear. Before we got to it, Peshar reads my mind. Someone's coming, he says, in a hushed voice that echoes down the subway tunnel-like hallway. Sure enough, the silver door opens, and two people step out, a small person dressed in white, holding the hand of an incredibly tall, creepy person wearing all black. I recognize the little person. It's that nasty girl, Ono, Hecate's daughter. She's the person who pulled me into the Vale the first time around, pretending to be a black dog, and then acting like she cared about me. Sometimes. I'm still a bit conflicted on whether she was in on everything from the start, or just decided to betray me out of the blue when things got dicey. Anyway, that's her, holding some weird person's hand like she's helping an old lady cross the street. Out of sheer luck, neither of them turn our way. They head down the hall in the same direction we were just going, feet padding softly on the floor, because of course neither of them has ever heard of shoes apparently. They don't speak. They just walk for several seconds, ignoring several doors that slide up out of the floor as they pass, and then turn at the fourth or fifth silver door and wait for it to open with a ding and pass through. I admit, I lost count of how many doors they passed before going in one because I was hyper-focused on not breathing out of fear that my breath would echo and Ono would turn and see us. Not that I'm afraid of fighting her. But that thing with her, that weird, tall person in black gave me the shivers. Pashar breathes loudly after their door shuts and slides back down into the wall. Part of me is relieved that he held his breath too, but then there's the part of me that wonders if he was just as scared as I was, and that makes me more scared. He looks down at me and smiles. Element of surprise. I nod and grab his armored hand. Element of surprise. He turns to Duma. That was Onakol. Hecate's Impusa child. Duma nods his bony chin grimly. She's been hiding about in the shadows ever since the reclamation. More troubling to me is who that was with her. That was one of those Draugr flesh stitchers we had working in Malabulge. Nasty things. Nordic nightmares from another one of Samael's reckless experiments in Mythopoeia. You mentioned Abaddon was letting them out, but for what purpose? I tug on Pashkar's hand. Ono can make herself look like anyone. Do you think she tricked Baradiel and other me? It may just be a coincidence that she came by this nexus. It doesn't hurt to investigate, though. Where Onokolas goes, trouble is sure to follow. Speaking of following, do we follow them? Or do we see where it was they came from? Asks Duma. Pashar points at the now blank wall. Let's try door number 1. The silver elevator door slides up out of the floor with its cheery bell sound as we approach it. It reminds me of some silly radio drama my father played for Roger and me when we were little. It was about 2 guys who stowed away on a spaceship where the doors talked and were all friendly and happy. Annoyingly so. The happy bell sound of the veil doors is very similar to those happy talking doors, like it's so delighted to do its job. On the other side of the door is a wet stone hallway. This is what I remember the veil looking like a dungeon had a baby with a roadside motel. Wooden doors line the walls. Some are rectangular, some are circular on the top. Some have round brass knobs. One has one of those big metal rings hanging from the center of it, like on a cow's nose. That's called a knocker, because you knock it against the door instead of banging on the door with your knuckles. Not a lot of normal houses have a knocker on the front door. Maybe it's a church door or a mansion or something? Dumas speaks up. This is not supposed to be looking like this. His voice reflects his concern in a way I'm not used to hearing from him. Normally, he sounds like someone who reads the school closings over the radio when it's snowy out. If boring had a sound, it would be Dumas' voice. But not now. Now he sounds like someone reading the school closings because there's a man in a black mask pointing a gun at his head. Samael must be rebuilding his labyrinth, says Pashar. That means he's not controlling things from the crossroad. Either he has a secondary center of operations, or he brushes past me and puts a hand on Dumas' shoulder. Dumas, go back and find the others. They're heading the wrong way. Celerider omnia, Dumas replies. He turns on his bony heel and shuffles back through the open door into the necklace place. After he's disappeared around the corner, the door shuts with a frightening kerthump and hiss, plunging us into darkness. I feel around until I find Pashkar's hand and grab it with both of mine. He squeezes it to assure me it's him and not someone else. We need to hurry and find the center of this new area. He lifts his glasses and his eyes light up the hall in front of us, like a pair of heavy-duty flashlights. It's so bright that he becomes nothing but a black silhouette in front of me. It's a good thing I'm a bit behind him, or I'd probably go blind, like if I looked directly at the sun. His eyelights are so bright that they wash out much of the floor and walls right in front of him. Without looking back, he hands me a loaf of pumpernickel that he apparently pulled out of thin air. You know what to do. Actually, I have no idea what to do. My guardian angel just handed me a loaf of the gross kind of bread he knows I hate because it looks too much like poop. I mean, I am a little peckish, but I'll never be so hungry that I would eat turd loaf. He recognizes my silence. Breadcrumbs. Lily, breadcrumbs. He makes the universal sign for ripping something up and scattering it. About breadcrumbs, I nod. Of course, leave a trail so we can find our way back out. I tear a little piece off the nasty loaf of bread and drop it by my feet. It's not that far to the ground from where my eyes are, but in the dark, the deep brown color of the bread is pretty much invisible. If only someone invented bread that glows in the dark. Then you could leave breadcrumb trails at night or make toast at night without turning on the kitchen light. Peshar starts trudging forward with cautious steps. Every few feet, I tear off a piece of pumpernickel and drop it on the floor. Together, we march slowly into the unknown. The hallway feels like it's closing in around us. The doors are tall and looming and seem vaguely threatening, like each one is waiting to burst open and let something awful out. Pashar, can I ask you a question? I watch another piece of pumpernickel vanish into the shadows. Of course, you know you can always ask me anything. Back when we visited Samael in his brainwashing room, Pashar clears his throat roughly. It's not a brainwashing. Never mind, go on. He said the veil is the last line of defense against something bad that's coming. Is that true? Paskar lets go of my hand as we both pass a plain, wooden door with a regular-looking knob. I think it's time I tell you something I was saving for when you were older. He lowers his shades and cranes his neck back to scan me from head to toe through the dark tint of his glasses. You've grown so much in these recent years. I'm not talking about height, I mean as a person. All the hardships you've endured. You deserve to know what purpose they serve. He turns back to the now pitch-black hallway and lifts his glasses once again, brightening everything. I suddenly hear his voice in my head, like I usually do when he's just a doll, and I'm not in the world of dreams. A long time ago, a really long time ago, there was only darkness. Here, anyway. Not in the veil. That didn't exist, but your reality was essentially nothing. At all. No planets, no stars, nothing. And then we came, exploring beyond the boundaries of our own existence, and brought light with which to see. We reach a left turn and take it. The hallway widens a little, allowing me to walk a bit closer to beside Pashar instead of behind him. Ahead, there's nothing but more doors and darkness. There's a door that's metal and looks like a broom closet. There's another that's got a rounded top and some sort of peephole. So many different types of doors. What we did not anticipate was that the darkness, the absence of anything, was itself an conscious force that reacted violently to the sudden incursion. It extinguished our light, and then it tried to extinguish our existence entirely. We had disturbed an awful, slumbering intelligence. In desperation, we built the veil to hold it back. I grab his arm and tug on it. Hold on a second. This sounds like the plot to the never-ending story. A world of unlimited imagination battling a nothing monster. It's not nothing like we know it. I can't describe it because I don't fully understand it myself. I did not exist at the time. I can only tell you what has been told to me. The best I can do is call it a creature that exists as a complete absence of everything. He tilts his head back for a second, like his neck is stiff. The hallway disappears in front of us, but the drippy, wet stone ceiling becomes washed out from his eyelights. You know that episode of Star Trek with the man named Lazarus, who had a ship that transported him between matter and antimatter dimensions, and if the two versions of him ever met on one side, both universes were destroyed? I don't remember Star Trek episodes except for the one with the flying pancake monsters and the salt vampire lady and the big lizard guy who got shot with a bazooka. Okay, well, he sighs. The nothingness in our case is more like an inverse version of everything we know, and it destroys with the same power that we create. So we're in danger of being unmade? I see the corner of his mouth curl up in a smile. We knew the veil wouldn't hold, not against something like the darkness. So several of us devised another plan while the rest worked to fortify and strengthen the veil. We brought our light again, only more, much more, in a single moment, and at the sacrifice of nearly a tenth of our number, we created an almost infinite universe, overflowing with light. a million billion stars. And on top of that, we designed this new creation to expand, spreading this abundance of light as far as we could make it. The idea was that it would never be able to extinguish something so massive. But even then, we worried this might not be enough. Some like Samael still do. So there is something that scares even an angel. I don't like that. I want to believe that nothing frightens them, that even when they act worried, they never act fearful. The thought fills me with an indescribable dread. I distract myself from it by dragging the tip of my trident against the wall as we go. It was Lucifer who came up with the idea of seeding the universe with a life force made from our own being. Just one place, for starters, which we named Elysian. We started microscopically, blowing life into inorganic matter, and watching as it evolved on its own, forming bonds and connections, building organs, writing and rewriting its own DNA until it could swim, then walk, then fly. It was the first time in an existence so long lasting that I don't recall what we were before, that we had created a new thing in our own image. Somewhere close by, a drip of water echoes down the hall, and I'm reminded that we're looking for me before something bad happens to her. If she's not already dead. If she is, does that make me the new official me? Or am I still just a dirt pile? Surely Pashkar knows that he's talking gibberish to me half the time. It's like he doesn't even care about using the easy to understand words for once. The idea for Elysian was twofold. One, we wanted to create an ever expanding source of life to drive back the darkness. If Elysian worked, we would use it as an example to populate other, infinite worlds. Two, as each new life's time expired, we harnessed the mutated life force to strengthen the veil. We inlaid the groundwork with it like bricks in a wall. You mean, all in all, we really are just bricks in the wall? That band my dad loved, Pink Flood, would be peeing their pants if they knew the truth. Pashkar laughs. I admire the way your brain works. He pauses. But, yes, basically. The light within each of you binds with each other and strengthens the fabric of the veil. Suddenly, a scream fills the tunnel. It sounds like a lady in a horror movie. I'm not supposed to watch horror movies, but they put one on at the orphanage for the older kids, and I sneaked downstairs and hid under one of the chairs nobody liked to sit in after somebody had an accident on it. The movie was about a guy who had a disfigured face or something, 'cause he always wore a burlap sack over his head, and he went around killing teenagers. One guy got stuck hanging upside down and got his throat cut, and then his girlfriend found him, and she screamed just like the one that startles both Pashar and me. All the other kids watching would scream and laugh every time someone else bit it, but I just watched because the deaths looked so fake. When you've seen real people die, fake ones seem silly. This is a real scream of somebody suffering, though. Like emotionally, not like they're getting tortured. Pashar jerks his hand out of mine and almost slaps me across the face with it, trying to stop me from moving forward. He quickly dons his shades again, dropping the light level to not much. What was that? I ask the obvious question. Pashkar doesn't answer. I take his silence to mean I should be quiet. We both stand there like statues and listen. No follow-up scream or sound of someone running. We wait several minutes. I count them out in my head. I lose track around 71,000 because there's so many syllables in the word 70 that keeping up with the seconds, when it takes like 2 seconds to say the number you're on causes you to fall behind, just as I'm about to say something else, forgetting yet again that I'm mentally linked to Pashar at the moment. Despite not having his totem on me, a woman appears. She's pale as a clean sheet and as tall as Pashar, if not taller. She walks out of a connecting hallway. I didn't notice at first, carrying a torch that drips little bits of fire off it. I say walks, but she's got no feet. I guess she floats. Her clothes look old-fashioned, very lacy and lacking in colorful bits, or stitched on pandas like mine usually have. If I had to guess, she's either 20 years old or 200 years old, it's hard to tell. She stops when she sees Pashkar and me standing there. Maybe she thinks we're statues since we're standing like statues. Oh, hello. I didn't know anyone was here. Sorry about the screaming. I was just getting a bit of practice in. Hello, Pashar says, like everything's totally normal. Hello, I mumble. We all stand there like a bunch of idiots. My throat starts to feel dry, so I cough and clear it. I try to find a way to clear it where it doesn't sound like I'm trying to draw attention to the fact that nobody's talking, but there's no good way to cough or clear your throat during a moment of awkward silence without making it seem intentional. That was a real cough, I explain. What pantheon is this from? The lady asks. She looks down at me and raises one pointy eyebrow. Are you a tomte? What's a tomte? I think at Pashjar. A gnome, he thinks back. I feel a little offended. Gnome, I'm not, I stutter to the white lady. Then I realize what I said. I mean, no, I'm not. Pashar speaks up. You were close. She's an utbird. I don't know if I should be offended again. Apparently, I'm some sort of bird. Oh, the lady's upper lip curls away, revealing rotted teeth. Her torch drips fiery bits onto her hand, but she doesn't seem aware of it. They sizzle out quickly. The air around her feels noticeably colder, as if she's a refrigerator. Well, good luck with that. I'm looking for a door, she says, twisting her neck around to glance back the way she came. One to Enistioge. That sounds like a made-up fairy tale name, so it's probably someplace in Europe. I'm afraid we can't help you, Pashar tells her. He keeps his arm across my chest, holding me back. Does he think I'm going to charge or something? We really must be on our way, though. Good luck with your search. The woman gives the two of us a curious look, shrugs, and glides past us, heading off in the direction we were just about to go. I lose sight of her quickly, but the torch continues to illuminate the walls and doors until it suddenly doesn't anymore, and I'm left wondering if she turned down another side passage or vanished from existence. That, Pashkar purses his lips, was a banshee. Is that bad? Just a harbinger of death. Duma used that word, harbinger, to describe himself. I've heard it used before, but still have no idea what it means. It's one of those words people use that you just nod and go along with. But if it came up in a vocabulary test, you'd probably get it wrong. Harbinger. Sounds like a construction tool. I tear off a piece of nasty bread and throw it on the floor. We don't follow the banshee in the direction we're heading. Pashar turns down the side corridor that she came from. The walls here are rougher. Whoever put the stones in here didn't really care about their job. In some places, a rock has completely dislodged itself from the wall and cracked on the stone floor. The doors also come fewer and further between. The wood they're made from starts to look older, wetter, more rotten and decrepit. There's another one of those words, decrepit. I know it has to do with rotten old stuff, but I couldn't define it to save my life. After what feels like 10 minutes of walking down this side hallway that keeps getting wider and wider and looking wetter and wetter, we hit another intersection. As Pashkar approaches it, the corridor begins to rumble. We stop. I put a hand on the nearest stone and feel the vibrations. An earthquake? I ask. Pashkar doesn't have to answer. I know they can't have earthquakes in the Vale because that requires tectonic plates, and I haven't seen a single plate here. The rumbling grows. Slowly, a horrifyingly familiar sound of metal rubbing against metal joins it. My stomach lurches. A cleaner! Pashar grabs my wrist and yanks me hard. We both slap against the wall, right next to an especially decrepit, old, wooden door with one rusty hinge. A bit of crooked stone digs into my back, but I ignore it. The dicey metal cleaner ball churns past us from the connecting hallway. It seems oblivious to our presence. Pashar steps out behind it and watches it carve out a wider hallway than was there to begin with. The new corridor it leaves behind looks as man-made as ever. Stone-laid walls and floors, but no doors. We're close, Pashar says. He reaches over his shoulder and pulls a long golden sword out from its sheath. I hadn't noticed it before because it blended in with all the janky metal parts to his armor, but now that he's pulled it out, it's pretty obvious where it was. I can feel their presence down this corridor. They can probably sense me too. Steel yourself. Things could get hairy. Remember that your safety is priority one. My safety is priority one. No, not you. You. The other you. Whatever they've done with her. If she's there, we need to make sure she isn't harmed. Oh, right. I'm just a dirt pile. Pashkar frowns. He walks up and puts a hand on my shoulder, squeezing it. The you that is thinking that thought is more than just a dirt pile. But even when this vessel you've been put in expires, you will continue. You must believe that. It's the you in your original body that is essential. That's also you. You're the same. I shrug his hand off. This is all very deep and, what's the word? Philosophical? Right, that. Philosophical. But I'm 12 going on 13. Or maybe I'm only 2 hours old and freshly dug. I don't know. But I do know that I'm already tired of this. I made me. I breathed life into a dirt pile, and now I'm here, as the dirt pile, wielding the trident of Durga. I wave the trident in his face. Samiel's maybe got me. Maybe I'm dead already. Maybe I'm chilling with Meredith and gave up the trident so I could play Nintendo. I don't know, and I don't care. Samael's being a pain in the ass. There's his lair. Let's cut the speeches. Get in there and beat the Pashar gives me a serious father look like my dad used to do before I nuked him. Beat the tar out of him.